everyone, Livy here, back with another video, and today I am doing part 4 of my tarot collection series I've been doing. Specifically, these are more standard size tarots that were not a part of my mini, pocket size, or odd shaped deck video, okay? So these are just the standard tarots. This is actually the last row. So I have a structure where I keep my tarot decks, and there's 4 different compartments, like it's long and it has like 4 rows. This is the last row. So these are all the tarot decks that are in that row. The last video that you're going to see of tarot, the part 5 that'll come after this, will be the last decks that are in this like square bin I have that's next to the big structure. So this is the last row of the structure until we move into the little bin. But yeah, these are all tarot decks I'm showing today. Oh my god, I just realized too, I still have to do Oracle on top of that. That's going to be wild, but it is what it is. We're just going to get right into it with the first deck I have today, which is this one. This is the Once Upon a Time Tarot. This is actually a low Scarabeo deck. This is the only low Scarabeo deck I have that comes in this like 2-piece box that goes like that. Never had one until this one. These are the backs of this deck though. And it has a nice chunky guidebook. So there is a guidebook in here. I can show, I realized that in the other video, I didn't show any of the guidebooks, but it's the same low Scarabeo stuff where they have it in a bunch of different languages in one part. The beginning is English though, and it does have a nice fair amount for each card. This is the High Priestess, Emperor, Empress, Emperor kind of vibe. So it does have all these parts, but let's get into the cards. I love low Scarabeo size cards. As you can see, it's slightly longer, but it is thinner than standard tarot, so it's very easy to hold in the hand. Cardstock's the same, very thin, flexible, but I tend to like their cardstock. I feel like some people don't because they don't like super thin, but I do like this one. And this deck is based, as if the name wasn't obvious, this deck is based on fairy tales. So each one kind of like, all the majors are different fairy tales, and then each of the minors has like a different thing going on. These are like some like kind of dragon-esque fairies. The cups, I forget, maybe that's just regular people, or mermaids. Oh, mermaids. And then I'm trying to remember. Oh, pentacles have these like gnomish figures with like mushroom heads. And then I'm trying to see if I can find, oh, no. Swords? What are the swords? Ah, swords are just like kind of regular-ish fairies. But yeah, beautiful artwork. Very cute. I love the color scheme. I love how bright it is. I do love the things that are included. This is a fun one. I just haven't used it a lot. It gives me very summer vibes. So this is definitely a deck I think I'll be using more in the summer-leaning months. But I am excited to use it again. I did like this one. I thought it was very cute. Don't have much more to say on that because I want to make sure I have time for my other decks. But as a fairy tale deck goes, you guys know I like them. I like myths, legends, all that jazz. I noticed mine's bowed slightly, and I think that's just because the way I have the box standing makes it so that the cards get slightly bowed, unfortunately. I'm just going to have to find a different way to lay this one out so it doesn't do that anymore. But it shuffles really nicely, and I do think it's a cute one. So this is the Once Upon a Time Tarot, and yeah, I'm going to move on to the next deck. Next up here, we have the Queer Tarot. So Once Upon a Time Tarot, as I mentioned, was mass market, low Scarabeo. I think this one technically is also mass market, but it doesn't. I got this deck used, so it only came in this little thing. I don't know what the other stuff with it is, but these are the very vibrant and awesome backs. This one is, as you can see, this is a big boy. This one's chunky. I have smaller hands, and as you can see, it's very hard. I can't even get my finger fully around any of that. But despite that, even though and it does hurt to do this, it does hurt a little bit. But despite all that, I do like this deck. I am obsessed with the vibrant artwork. I am obsessed with how queer it is. I do like it, that it's queer. It has an amazing little guidebook too. It's not in here. It's like an actual separate guidebook, which I don't remember. I don't remember where I put it. But that deck has some really good spreads in it. Each of the people featured in this deck are queer. And it celebrates literally everybody who could be on the spectrum of being queer. It is beautiful. It is diverse. And these are based off real people, right? These are real people. As you can see, it's also an RWS clone, which is fine with me because this is a good deck to read for others, especially fellow queer people. And I find it a fun one. I think this would be a good, easy reader, crowd pleaser if I did more, in-person events where I was actually reading tarot for others. I think this would be a good one. But yeah, this is the queer tarot. I love the Cadmus card. Oh, it's so funny. Okay. But yeah, I really like this one, but I do wish it was just slightly thinner. Cards are a little thick. Cards are a little thick. It is what it is. But yeah, this is the Queer Tarot. A fun one. I do recommend it. I think the guidebook is worth it, but it is a little more harder for those of us with smaller hands to maneuver, and that is what it is. Okay, next up is one of my faves for sure. This is the Eldritch Overload Tarot. This is another sci-fi-like deck, but as it says here, it is a fantasy cyberpunk tarot. This one is very loosely based on Dungeons and Dragons in the world. I mean, literally look at the backs of this deck have a freaking mind flayer on it. So cool. This is definitely a niche deck. Okay, these are the backs. Holographic, so cool. But this is niche because not everybody, of course, would like fantasy decks, cyberpunk decks, decks that are Dungeons and Dragons related, or adjacent. But I am obsessed with this one. I think I will always like this one. It is such an interesting reader. Really, and it's just such an interesting world. It has a really big guidebook that is separate and goes really deep into the stories of this world too, and explaining the cards. And it is just super fascinating. I really like it. Holographic foiling inside the cards. Really, really cool. But I do recognize this one would be niche. Not everyone would be into this. But if you are, I do recommend it. Cardstock is matte. Besides the foiling, it is matte. More papery. But the cardstock itself is not obviously papery. It's not edged. That's fine. I've been always debating if I want to edge it. Maybe I will. But I just really enjoy this one. And I'm glad I have it in my collection. But again, very niche, but that's I guess the theme of my collection, right? It's my niche. It's what I like to look at. But yeah, Eldritch Overload, if you're interested, I do highly recommend it. It's definitely up there in one of my favorite decks. And I'm just glad I have it. Okay. Next up, we have a deck that I became newly obsessed with when I got it. This is the Asphodelins Mythos Tarot. This is, I guess, the first edition. I don't know if she closed it temporarily because she's going to do another one, I think. I'm not sure, or might still be around, maybe. But anyways, these are the backs. It has gold edging. metallic. And this deck is based on Greek mythology. This is finally my Greek tarot deck. I don't think I'm going to want any other now because this one is so good. This one mainly, like in the majors, it focuses a lot on the theme of Hades and Persephone, but it's not just Hades and Persephone, right? It has a lot of different myths inside of it, like Midas, and it's really good. Medusa is shown here, right? Like, the artwork is stunning. I am obsessed with the colors and the way that it looks. It's so pretty. And I just think it did, like, even Sisyphus, like, what? You don't I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of decks like that. It's so good. I just really like the vibe it has going on. And for me, it works. It works really well. Like, even Thanatos. Like, yes, please. Thanatos is death because he is death. Like, what? It's just so good. Even the Trojan horse, you know what I mean? It just has a lot of good ones. I'm excited. I think I'm going to be using this again around the time of my birthday, so in July. But I love Greek mythology, and I think this one just does an incredibly good job at showcasing a balance of the myths with the card meanings. It feels very intentional, and for that, I'm just really grateful it exists and that I was able to find this, because I did see this, I think, first on Marine at the Wave of Your Souls channel. She had this deck, and I was like, wait, what? And so then I had to get it. But yeah, I really like this one. It is, I don't know. I could live in this. I love Greek mythology. This is my jam. This deck was just everything I need. Again, it's slightly bowed. I need to do something about my bottom row. All these decks are ending up slightly bowed because I keep letting them stand up, and the boxes just don't support them well enough. So that's unfortunate. I need to make sure they don't stay like that. I'm like, what the heck? But anyways, this is Asphodelins Mythos Tarot, and I still have some more decks to go, so I'm going to move on. Okay, this next one is going to surprise literally nobody. I've had this deck for a little while now. This is the Tyldwick Tarot, and specifically, I have the 10th anniversary edition, and I freaking love this deck. It is one of my favorites. It is never going to be going anywhere. These are the backs. I love the cardstock on this one. It's very like, it's got like this very artsy fartsy feel. It also has metallic gilding. This guidebook, it does have a guidebook, I will mention. This guidebook has writing that is so tiny, you literally have to hold it up to a camera like this or under a microscope to actually see what it's telling you. It is incredibly tiny. So if you have not so great eyesight, just be aware of that. But this deck is so good. So good. I realize this wouldn't be for everyone though, because as you can see, this is a deck. It's got a sepia kind of tone over everything. And it's made to look very old and ancient. And its idea, too, is to be like each area, or each card is like an area of this like giant manor estate. So it's like, it doesn't have any people, only figures of people, right? Like only like art images that would have like an angel in it. Or you could see vaguely, there's a person's face inside there, and those are the court cards. But there's no real people anywhere in this deck. It is so good. I read this very intuitively. If you are an intuitive reader, you can probably get the most out of this, but I could see other people not being able to get as much intuitive hits. This is probably not a deck for everybody, but it is a deck for me. And I just love this one so much. It's always, It has this very fall time feel, so I always want to use this deck in the fall. I notice I tend to want to gravitate towards it in either September or November. I don't know, it just gives off those vibes. But this one reads very nicely for me. I've had a lot of very beautiful readings from this one. So I don't remember if this version is still out and about in the world. This creator had very limited print runs because the original artist of this deck unfortunately passed away. And so it's now up to his brother who's been doing print runs of this. But yeah, Tyldwick Tarot is one I highly recommend if you are someone who thinks you'll be interested in this style of deck. But I also recognize it is not for everyone. And yet I don't know. Again, I just love it so much personally. And yeah, cannot recommend it higher. I've talked about this deck a lot on my channel though, so I'm not going to spend forever on it here. And we're going to move on to the next deck. Okay, next up, speaking of a fall time deck, for some reason, my copy of the Lord of the Rings Tarot by Inside Editions always makes me think of fall. So I always want to bring out this deck in the fall. Inside Editions, it has this 2-part box. This is the guidebook, which, by the way, it like spreads out into this whole giant thing and it opens up. It's really big. I'm not going to show all of that, but it does have a little bit of a guidebook, so that's good. It's just this like map looking thing, which I guess tracks with the deck. But this is the inside of the box. And unfortunately, this is an Inside Editions deck that has very, very, very pippy minors. So just be aware of that. If you are somebody who hates pippy decks, this is definitely not going to be for you. But listen, I love this deck because it is Lord of the Rings. I feel like if this had been any other fandom, I would not like this deck. But because this is literally my brand, my interests, my level of everything, that is why I have this deck. The depictions it does have in the majors and the core cards are very smart choices, I think, overall. But I don't 100% like that the minors are pippy. But Inside Editions just does that. They do a lot of pippy minors. Not all of them, because again, I did show the Disney Villains deck, and that one was very different artist. But this artist, who they've hired to do quite a few other decks, they just go very pippy, and that's unfortunate because I think they could make smarter depictions of the cards. I don't know. It just feels a little lazy sometimes, but it is what it is. This is the right fandom for me, though, so I don't mind it 100%. It is beautiful. Like, the minors do look cool. It's really... I could see how this would be hard. Like, I would not recommend this deck for a beginner because you would not be able to tell what the meaning of this card is from this, right? So, that's the only thing about pippy minors that's kind of hard. I would definitely don't recommend them for beginners. But anyways, yeah, Lord of the Rings Tarot. I've had this one a while. It's been on my channel a while. I guess no one should be surprised it's still in my collection. But yeah, I guess I'm going to move on now because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6, I think, more decks to show. So yeah, this is the Lord of the Rings Tarot by Inside Editions. Definitely a good one if this is your fandom. If it is not your fandom, you probably will pass this up, and that's okay too. So yeah. Okay, I've recently shown this deck on my channel, but in this giant bag here is, here we go. This is Tarot of a Moon Garden. This is the new edition that has these purple metallic edges that are super cool. It's on linen finish. It is very long and skinny. I could have put this in the odd shaped decks, but it was long enough where I felt, oh my God. Do you hear that? That's the sirens. I'm so sorry. It's just long enough where it is still kind of in standard tarot, so that's why I didn't include that in that video. But, oh, and also has a massive guidebook. That's what's in here. That's why the bag is so big. But this deck is an oldie. It's been around a while. This is not new. I just like this new edition. I like that it's linen. I like that it's like a long and thin size. I think that's pretty cool. The artwork is beautiful though. Vaguely reminds me of the 80s and 90s fantasy-esque vibe. It is pippy a little bit in the minors though. So not, I guess everyone would like that, but I like that it's so fantastical. It doesn't have the old borders. You can still get the old version, I'm pretty sure. It just has like these borders like all the way around, and it's on a different cardstock. I also don't think it's as long as and skinny, I think. Backs might be a little different too. These are the new backs and everything, but this is a deck that I definitely want to use more of. But I only use for like a couple readings. I already talked about this in January. So I'll have to see when I decide to again, but this is a fun one. This is definitely a fun one. And no, I just like that everything in it too takes place at night. That's kind of nifty and interesting and different. And also because it's linen, it is very easy to shuffle, but it is a little slippy. Just for those who don't like slippy linen, I thought you should know that. But, oh, see, I was trying to get a hold of it and it like slipped out of my hand. But despite all that, I do like this deck. And I think it's really cool. But yeah, we're going to move on because there's more decks to go. But this is Tarot of a Moon Garden. This is the newer borderless edition. Yes, by US Games. Okay, next up, we have another indie deck that I actually backed on Kickstarter, got it last year. This is the Lighted Window Tarot. This is by Lantern Print Company. This deck, there's something about this deck, as soon as I saw it, that I just had to get this. I don't know what it was. I was just really drawn to the art. These are the backs. Has a nice size guidebook in here too. Beautiful copper matte edging, kind of like more on the orangey side. Oh, I see like what the heck? There was like a hair in there. Anyways, backs, nice matte cardstock. Artwork, stunning. But, see, so this is funny. This deck is a pip deck. But there's something about the way the pips were illustrated and the art style that called out to me. I don't know what it was. It really did. I would argue that some of them are pips with feelings too, but I just really enjoy the color scheme of this deck. I love how it feels like the Hermit card. If I could think of a card, like a deck that reminds me of the Hermit, I would say it was this deck. There's just something about it that's so comforting. I used this deck in November and was very happy with the readings I was able to do with it. It's so fun. It has nice diversity in it too of the people you can see, like that are obviously not the minors, like, right? Like this Queen of Pentacles is very beautiful. Queen of Swords, really good. King of Swords, right? It's just good it's just a nice, overall nice deck. I feel like because of the minors, maybe not everyone would feel gravitated to use this deck, but I cannot tell you enough, like I cannot say enough how beautiful it is and how much I do think it's like worth people's time. I don't know. But again, maybe not everyone is drawn to like more pippy like this, and that's okay too. So if you know what you like, then you like what you like, and you wouldn't want to get this. But I think it's beautiful. And so for that reason, I don't know, I was just drawn to the art style, and I knew I had to back it. It's a decent size too. Cardstock is, see, it's a little hard to overhand. maybe because of the texture of the cardstock, it is a little thick too. The cards themselves. So I don't know how well you'd be able to riffle shuffle that, to be honest with you. But nonetheless, the Lighted Window Tarot is beautiful. And if you're interested in this style of deck, I do highly recommend it. Okay, there are 3 more decks to go after this one, but let's get into this one. Okay, this is another niche deck, okay? Not everybody would be interested in this one, and not everyone's going to have this one, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only one I know who has this one. But this is the Weary Writers Tarot. This was, as it says here, created by Tony Kensington. Keniston, I think? Keniston? As the name suggests, this is a tarot deck specifically for writers. So if you do not write, this would not be up your alley at all, and I probably wouldn't recommend it just because you wouldn't be able to connect with it. But it does come with this little tarot cheat sheet here. It does have some spreads in it. Very minor, but there's more stuff in that QR code there. These are the backs, which I think are super fun. I love how it says the next great novel, or the next novel, and it's just crossed out great, you know, by the writer who owns this deck. This deck, okay, this is very non-traditional tarot. But I fucking love this deck. And I will cuss, because this deck, as you can see, doesn't give a shit about cussing to you. It doesn't. This deck is so funny. See, even look at, okay, read this, like the 3 of Swords. It says, I hate to say I told you so, but here the fuck we are, sigh. I tried to tell you acting up with that Knight of Cups fuckboy energy was gonna get you sobbing into a pint of ice cream, but you didn't listen. If you haven't yet experienced a level of betrayal, loss, or heartbreak I'm talking about, consider this your fair warning. Something is afoot. So, see what I mean? This deck is just very funny and very hilarious. Very different. Its messages are designed to be geared more towards writing. And the bottom here, as you can see, it gives you like prompts to think about for writing, or gives you a prompt in general. So this is a very different deck. This is very niche. I literally only use this tarot deck for writing matters, right? To ask my opinion about what I'm doing. Am I doing it correctly? What direction should I take my writing, my stories? Because I write actual novels, like, I know, crazy. And so I only use this deck for that. It doesn't have detailed artwork. It's not in depth. I know most people would not even be interested in this deck. This is literally niche. This is very niche. This is only for people who give a shit. But I do like the cardstock on this one. And I like how easy it is to shuffle. I find it hilarious. And if you want it just for a good laugh, I would say this is a great deck for a good laugh. Or a great deck if you know somebody who also likes to write. So, yeah. This is the Weary Writers Tarot. And I am so glad I have this silly little deck in my collection. Okay, next up. This is the Modern Hue Tarot. This is an RWS clone that is like, it's literally Pamela Coleman Smith's artwork. It's just in this fanciness that I'm going to show you. These are the backs of this deck. I edged this deck, okay, and I did it to match the backs, and I think it went fantastic. I don't know how I was able to match them so well. It was, I don't know, it just came out really good. Cardstock's kind of nice, but it feels on the plastic side. For an RWS clone, or basically a redrawing, a recoloring of RWS, I will say this one runs a little pricey. So if you're not a picky bitch like I am, I wouldn't recommend this one. You know what I mean? Like in that way. But I used to be a hater of the color scheme of the originals, okay? And because I was a hater, I decided to get this one instead. Now, do I think even this one is a perfect RWS for me? I don't know. That's a big question mark. I really like it a lot, and I think this is the only one I need. But I know there's some other ones that might one day be more better suited. I don't know. But I like that this one is watercolor. It does some interesting things. I wish it did not, like this card, I wish had more of the watercolor work. I don't like as much of the white space. I like when the cards look more like this. I wish the whole deck looked like this. So that's my biggest gripe about it. It has a little bit too much white space for me. But I do think it's a good one if you don't like the old colors also. But again, it was a little pricier for that. It is on Ritual. It's more, you know, it's an indie. So it is what it is. But it's RWS, so I really don't need to show this one too long. But if you are interested in this style, then go ahead and get it. But do be aware it is on the pricier side. And yeah. Okay, next up we have a mass market deck. This is the Edmund Dulac Tarot. I've also shown this one more recently on my channel because I used this deck in January. It is now February of the time of me filming this. These are the backs. Low scare bale cardstock, typical tuck box cardstock. Thinner, smooth, really easy to bend and shuffle. Probably really great for people who riffle shuffle. I don't, but you know, is what it is. I think this artwork is stunning. This is based on the work of Edmund Dulac. But with that said, this is a curated art deck. So this artwork was not originally created to be in tarot. In fact, I'm pretty sure most of this artwork probably went into illustrated works. Nonetheless, I do recommend this one. I do like this one. But it's definitely a deck that you need to deep dive into because sometimes you don't know what the hell it's trying to tell you. This one is creepy, by the way. This 9 of Swords. Like, what in the world? Who is that? Why is it you know, why is it on top? It's a little weird, but it's really cute in other parts too. I don't know. It's got this very romantic vibe, storybook vibe. Some of the cards in here, I'm not going to lie, they are a little questionable. I don't know what stories and shit it was originally from. I don't. I'll be honest. But I do think it is an interesting one. And out of all the curated art decks from Low Scare Bale, besides maybe the Nicoletta Ciccoli, I do think this one is the most accurate to like having a good card meaning with what the art is showing. You know what I mean? Because not all curated art decks are the same. Not all of them jive as well with tarot. But this one kind of does. So yeah, that's the Edmund Dulac. I only have one other deck to show, so I'm going to get right into it because I think I need to move on. But yeah, Edmund Dulac, this one's a fun one. If you're into curated art decks, you definitely check it out. But if you're not, that's okay too, and move right along. Okay, finally, the last deck I'm going to show for this video. My God, I'm almost done. Okay, this is the Forger's Daughter Tarot, and this deck is an indie deck that is stunning. Oh, so good. So good. It is, I will say, okay, this is an animal deck. Okay, it has these edges, metallic edging. These are the amazing backs. This is also known as the Afterlight edition. There was once upon a time a different edition of this deck that had different colored borders all the way around, but now it just looks like this, and it is beautiful. I like to call this deck my National Geographic or like kind of Blue Planet deck. It shows nature in its many multifaceted ways, but it is a little bit more on the gentle side. It's not like as crazy and out there as like the Brady Tarot, for instance, I've heard of. I don't have the Brady Tarot, but you know, this is basically the right balance for me is what I'm trying to get out here. This deck is beautiful. It's on linen, glossy linen cardstock, so it's very easy to like shuffle and work with. I will not lie to you though, this deck is pricier. So I would highly recommend this deck only to people who actually like animal decks. If you don't think you like animal decks and you know you don't want to have to pay the big price tag for this one, don't, okay? Just don't. It has an amazing guidebook though. It is a big guidebook, fully colored inside. Goes really in depth with the card meanings of these ones. And I don't know, there's something about this deck that I really like a lot. I use it mainly in the winter time of year. I don't know why I gravitated towards it more then, because it does also give off some spring vibes, but I was just really called to use it in January, so I did again. And yeah, there's just something about this deck I just low-key admire. I really like it. And so with that said, I think I'm going to move on, because I filmed a lot already today. I don't know, back-to-back videos for me are hard. But this deck is beautiful. Again, if you like animal decks and you don't mind paying an indie price tag for it, like a higher indie price tag for this deck, check it out. Otherwise, it's okay. There's other decks that you can get that also do animal themes, and you don't have to have the FOMO of this one, but I really like this one. So great production quality. This is the Forger's Daughter Tarot, and with that said, if you are watching this long, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye!